The monitor in the command center flickered, casting a harsh light across the room. Sector 7 was gone. In its place, a planet hung in the void, its crust shattered into jagged plates. The core was exposed, pulsing with a rhythmic, unstable heat that bled into the surrounding space. Ruby Orchard leaned closer, watching the energy spikes climb across the screen. The entire sector was coming apart. She slammed a button on her console, triggering the station-wide alert. The low, rhythmic thrum of the emergency siren filled the corridors. Within seconds, the docking bay doors hissed open. Tana, Braca, Pineforge, and Draven Skullworm stepped onto the deck, their movements synchronized and efficient. They did not ask for orders. They saw the display Ruby had projected onto the hangar wall, the broken planet, dying and volatile. Draven tightened his grip on his weapon. Braca checked the weight of his hammer. They stepped onto the scout ship without a word. Ruby was right behind them, the hatch sealing shut as the engines began to whine. The countdown was already running. They were the only ones who could reach the core before the collapse turned the entire sector into a graveyard of dust and debris. The scout ship hit the jagged plateau hard, the landing gear groaning against the unstable metallic surface. Dust billowed, swirling into the crevices of the floating tectonic plates. Before the airlock even fully cycled, shadows detached themselves from the surrounding debris. They lunged with jagged, unnatural speed. Tana moved first, planting her cannons into the cracked ground and opening fire, the rhythmic thuds echoing against the void. Draven stepped forward, his blade carving arcs of light through the swarm, forcing the creatures to recoil. Braca swung his hammer, slamming it into the ground with enough force to send shockwaves rippling through the metallic soil. The creatures shattered under the impact. Ruby waded into the fray, her blade humming as she severed the path of the encroaching shadows. They fought in a tight formation, backing each other with precise, calculated movements. Every swing, every shot, and every blast served to push the darkness back toward the edge of the plateau. The air grew thick with the smell of ozone and burnt dust. As the last creature collapsed into a heap of static, the team stood in a circle, weapons ready, scanning the horizon for the next wave. The plateau remained silent, save for the hum of their energy-charged gear. The silence on the plateau was brief. It ended with a low, grinding sound that vibrated through the soles of their boots. Ruby Orchard looked up, squinting against the harsh glare of the dying planet. High above a distant, jagged fortress, the sky began to tear. A violet vortex expanded, swirling with chaotic energy that choked the light from the horizon. Beside her, Vexa Hollowbane emerged from the shifting dust, her expression grim. She did not speak. She simply pointed toward the spire. Lady Marina Blackfin stood at her side, eyes locked on the growing rift. A flicker of movement appeared on the team's tactical display, a distress beacon. The signal was weak, originating from the highest ramparts of the fortress. Ruby zoomed in on the feed. The image resolved into a single figure, surrounded by encroaching shadows. It was Ember. He was trapped on the castle walls, pinned down by endless waves of attackers. The weight of the sight settled over the team instantly. The previous victory felt hollow now. They were not just fighting for survival anymore. They were the only line of defense between their comrade and the void. Ruby checked the power levels on her device. They had no time to lose. She signaled the team to advance. The fortress was their only target. The scout ship engines screamed as they punched through the atmosphere, veering sharply toward the castle ramparts. Gravity slammed into them as they leveled out, landing with a jarring metallic screech on the stone perimeter. Ember was visible 10 yards away, his rifle barrel glowing cherry red from continuous fire, backing toward a narrow breach. Before the team could close the distance, a figure cut through the swarm with blinding speed. Nefara Vix moved with lethal precision, her staff pulsing with violet plasma. She carved a wide arc, leaving a trail of cauterized stone and scattering the attackers. Ruby signaled the advance, and the team surged forward to meet the line. Braca slammed his hammer into the rampart, bracing against the tide of enemies. Tana locked her cannons into place, turning the corridor into a gauntlet of fire. The air turned metallic and thick with heat. Sparks showered the team as they held the narrow gate, pulses of energy colliding with the encroaching wave. Every step forward was met with resistance, but the line held. They were locked in a rhythmic, brutal cycle of defense, pushing the swarm back inch by agonizing inch toward the central courtyard. The vortex above roared, but the team remained focused on the stone beneath their feet. The sky above the fortress finally sealed shut, leaving only the sound of cooling metal and distant debris settling. The mission was over. Back on the space station, the roar of the atmosphere vanished, replaced by the persistent, rhythmic hum of the air recyclers. The transition was jarring. Ruby Orchard sat at her command desk, the residual tension of the battle still tight in her shoulders. She ignored the ache in her wrists and focused on the task at hand. With precise movements, she began fabricating new insignias for the latest recruits, the sharp sound of the metal press punctuating the quiet room. The station felt larger now, emptier. She placed the finished piece on the desk, the metal cooling under the fluorescent lights. There was no grand celebration, only the quiet maintenance of their order. She looked toward the main console, expecting a moment of rest. The galaxy, however, had other plans. A single, steady light began to pulse on the navigation array. It was a new signal. Ruby leaned forward, her fingers hovering over the interface. The cycle was not broken, it had merely paused. She cleared the desk, swiped the old schematics away, and prepared to receive the next transmission.